Thank you for joining me. Today we're looking at rounding to the nearest 10 or 100. So when we talk about rounding, what are we talking about? Well, here's a definition that I like. Rounding a number means making a number simpler or easier to use while keeping its value close to what it was. So rounding is not going to be exact, and it's not the same as estimating, but there are some similarities. Say, for instance, I'm going shopping and one of my items cost $29. And I've got another one that's $39 and another one that's $49. Well, it's easier for me to remember that 29 is close to 30, so I'm going to think of that item as costing 30. I'm going to make it a simpler number to remember. Well, that's all that rounding is, but there are a couple steps to follow, and so let's talk about that now. Let's say we've got a number that we want to round, and let's start with 741, and the first thing we want to do is draw a number line. So there we've got a number line. Now we want to round 741 to the nearest 100. So as I look at 741, which number is in the hundreds place? Well, here's my ones, here's my tens, here's my hundreds. The 7 is in the hundreds place. So I'm going to start my number line with 700. What is the 100 that comes after 700? Count by hundreds. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800. Our number here falls between 700 and 800. Now, when we're using a number line to determine how to round our numbers, we want to determine the halfway point, because the halfway point determines where this number falls on which half determines whether we're going to round down to 700 or round up to 800. So I can use what I know to help me figure this out. I know that if I have 0 to 100, I know that half of that is 50. I know that 50 cents is half of $1, and $1 is 100 cents. So I know that 50 is going to be the midpoint. Well, we've got a span of 100 from 700 to 800, so 750 is going to be the halfway point. Do you see how I did that? I used something I knew to help me with something that maybe I didn't know. You can do that too. It takes a little practice, but you can do it. Now, anything that's on this side of the 750, we're going to round down. If our number falls on this side, we're going to round up. So where would 741 fall on this number line? Well, it's above 700, but it is below 750. I'm thinking it would be just about right here. I don't have to count all my numbers, and mark all the little tick points. I'm not going to make 50 little tick marks, but I know that here would be about 710, here would be 720, 730, 740, right about there, 741. Well, it's on this side of the midway point, so that's going to tell me it's going to round to 700. Think about where it is. This is the halfway point. Is your number this side of the halfway point or this side? That's how you're going to know whether you're going to round down or whether you're going to round up. Let's look at another one. Okay, let's say that you have the number 655 and we want to round to the nearest 10. So I need to look at my number and determine which place is the tens place. Okay, I can always start here because I know it's going to be ones, tens, hundreds. Tens, that's it. This is the tens place. So we want to round to the nearest 10. So when we make our number line, we want to start with 650 because we're going to start with the tens. We don't have to start with 600 and go all the way up to 650. We're just doing 650 and the next 10 that comes after 50, if we count by tens, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. That's the next 10. 660. And if I know that halfway between 5 and 10 is 5, then I can determine that halfway between 650 and 660 is going to be 655. That's using what I know to figure out what I don't know. Halfway between 0 and 10 is 5. Halfway between 10 and 20 would then be 15. That same pattern works no matter how high our numbers get. Halfway between 650 and 660 would be 655. Well, as we look at our number, 655 is exactly halfway between. So how do we know whether to round down or up? Do you remember our rule that we talked about at the beginning? If it's on this side, we round down. If it's on this side, we round up. Well, there's a special rule if it falls right in the middle. If it falls right in the middle, we always round up. And that just makes it so that we're all playing by the same rules. Is it actually closer to 660 than 650? No, it's still right in the middle. But so that mathematicians can agree and have a rule how we're all going to do it, if it's 5 or more, we always round up. And this value, 660, is easier to use, simpler to use in our calculations than 655, but yet it's still close to what it was. Okay, I hope that helped.